did last weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a madhouse. Great.
So anyway, that's what Richard says. For what it's worth.
Well, if they're up 1%, they must be picking it up somewhere. I mean, I'm sure that they're suffering in their camping.
Little Rock, probably.
And their parks and things, because they haven't had a good weekend either for camping or for any kind of park revenue. So there must be
No, but we're talking
somewhere
about
else.
tax. We're talking about
Yeah.
their percentage of the tourism tax for the for the whole state. And he said Little Rock's up because their meetings have held, regardless of what the weather's been.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the southern half of the state has not had the weather we've had.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Sheila? One of the things, we're the same thing as was last year when on the media. I know our payments are behind. We said we were going to try to.
I'll get you all a report, I promise. I just keep forgetting
promise,
it.
yeah.
I'm going to make a note to myself right now.
Because it always looks like we're behind, so I always like to know. And I noticed the direct mail, you had mentioned it I think last time too, but our direct mail costs are, which is mostly the chamber cost, is up considerably, almost double what we budgeted.
That's because we're advancing quarters.
Okay.
We're prepaying a quarter based on last year.
So this isn't because the chamber's sending out even twice as many.
Inquiries are up, but not that much.
Okay.
So at the end of the year, it's going to be right.
Yes. Well, and we probably won't need to do it through. Last year we did it the first 2 quarters, and then we didn't have to do it the rest of the year. So it just kind of, it's just an agreement that we made because it doesn't affect us really. We've got a contract. We'll stop it where we, at the contract amount, regardless of where that is. So, or what time of year that is. So we didn't.
For those of you who don't understand, the chamber produces the visitor's guide, and we pay for the mailing of same. And they send us a monthly report of how much the mailing was at. So that's what they're talking about.
Any other questions? Comments? Joyce?
Do we have any major pushes for television or anything for disbursements and
For what?
media placement, any sort of advertising? We haven't really spent a whole lot of that yet. Do we have any kind of major advertising that's going to be coming up that's going to cost us, or?
Well, all the television is starting to run, and we've also, are right before signing a contract with TripAdvisor for some of the internet money.
Okay. Because we've spent, what, 48,000 of our 215,000?
What page are you on?
Right here, media
page 1.
placement. This is what
Unless
she's
I'm
saying.
not reading this right, but
Yeah, it's 48,000
year-to-date actuals
year-to-date.
48,000, yeah.
That's what he just asked you for, though, that media placement.
Yeah, but here's the problem you need to understand. Those figures are taken in the budget and divided by 12.
Pretty much. We can't
So,
really.
it's not an exact science on projected. You understand what I'm saying?
Your budget doesn't take into
No,
consideration
because-
seasonality.
No, because we're not running hardly anything in January and February.
Why is your budget done that way? Straight line instead of seasonality.
Well, it's really not. It's not divided by 12, but it is just a total estimate, and it is. I just take the past couple of years, try to figure out what the actuals were, and then divide it by 2 or whatever, and try to plug in a number. But the media plan is not the same every year, so we may run more expensive stuff in January last year than we did this year. So.
And that's why I'd asked Jim if he could if we could have a little report on the media plan. That said, here's what we planned on, here's what we've done, and the things we still have to do, so we can sort of track it that way. Since
We certainly can
Because,
do
yeah.
that, like a media flow chart, and show everything
That's
that we've
what-
paid for so
that's what
far,
we're planning to do.
and then everything that's still out there left to.
What I want to do is show you what's been placed and when it's supposed to run, what's been billed and what hadn't been billed. You'll be able to tell exactly where we are.
It would seem to me that the major push should be in January, February, and March, when people are making vacation decisions. And by
Joyce?
July, we wouldn't be doing anything.
They're really not anymore.
Really?
2 weeks
Okay.
out is about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, and then you have to wait for the bills to come in, which is even after the fact too, so.
30 days.
Yeah, okay.
but- So that media plan will really help.
I'll do it. I'll have it for you in a week or so.
Any other questions? Well, I'll take a motion to approve the financial plan for April as presented.
So moved.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the April financial report. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and executive director's report.
Karen Pryor is in Branson this week at a Travel Alliance Partners meeting, selling more group travel, hopefully. Garden Lightfoot is appearing at the auditorium on August 22nd. A promoter in Tulsa has arranged that. The Eureka Music Festival had originally billed the first weekend in April and the last weekend in April. They have now come back to the odd and the major property that they're working with, and they've also booked the last weekend in March. So we're looking at 3 weekends of high school bands in town next March and April. Thomas Acard, Paul from Forest Hills, and I met with a fellow named Bruce Dunn from Fayetteville. Bruce is interested in promoting a 3-day biking event. It's a triathlon on Thursday, a street bike event on Friday, and a running event on Saturday. And he wants to do that in August of 2011. Thomas and Paul are involved because they're in one of the riding clubs that would be participating in this event. And he thinks that he can build that into a major tour event in about 3 years. And so we're waiting for his proposal. The Vocus public relations system that you all agreed to let us buy is up and running, and Ken is very pleased with what it's doing, the result, and the reporting that it's getting on where we're getting media placement. I met last week with Brian White, the new representative with IPS, the people who do sports sales for the University of Arkansas. You may remember that last year we bought the first quarter in the first Razorback football game, and Cox blew the showing of same in the Northwest Arkansas corridor. And we've accepted some make goods, but there weren't really very good make goods, and I've been kind of standoffish, and Brian and his manager wanted to meet with me, and so I was in Fayetteville for a NATA meeting, and we had lunch together, and they asked me why I was unhappy, and I told them, and they said, well, what we want to do is we want to make you all happy, so we're going to give you a quarter in the first Razorback pay-per-view game this year. So we're back where we were last year if Cox doesn't fail to broadcast it again. We're working on a senior citizen travel incentive event, or not event, but program for September of this year. Probably we'll do that like we're doing coupons on our website and run ads in newspapers in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Mizzou, and Texas, driving people to the website to print out the coupons or calling us to have a sheet of coupons mailed to them. What is